Hi and hello everyone, Anthony Fantano here, internet's busiest music nerd, you know who it is, and it's time for another installment of our top 10 singles of a given year series where I take what is said to be the top 10 singles according to Billboard Music for a given year. We have been doing the 2010s one year after another. Right now we are in 2017, which going back on Billboard's top 10 singles of that year, we're actually not that bad. Actually panned out as being one of the better years in the bunch thus far in this decade, and pretty excited to get into it. So let's go. Going to tier these things out from S all the way to F for fail or fucking sucks a lot, or, landing somewhere in between that spectrum. Let's see where we go. Okay, we are kicking things off with Congratulations by Post Malone featuring Quavo off of the Stoney record, one of many songs off of this project that went pretty viral. And this one, I have to say, I'm not really crazy about, although that shouldn't be a surprise considering how much I disliked Stoney at the time. Going back to it, I still very much dislike Stoney. I just don't really see what is so great about this album. I do see what is so appealing about some of Posty's earliest singles that popped off, and obviously this is a single that popped off, but this is not one that really appeals to me all that much. I think the beat is quite generic. I think the chorus isn't really all that special. The singing and vocal melody is mid as hell, and Quavo, while he's not impressive in my opinion on the track, he mostly just kind of follows Post Malone's lead. So I mean, I think the song was in dire straits already. There wasn't really anything Quavo could do to save it, in my opinion, so he's kind of a non-factor on the track. Yeah, just kind of a weak mellow trap song overall, in my opinion. The tune's not really there, the singing's not really there, the beat is just okay. I think this one is quite unimpressive, in my opinion. Not the worst thing I've ever heard, but nothing really all that special about it. I think Post Malone has come out with way better singles, especially during the Beer Bongs and Bentley's era. But still, this is not the worst thing I've ever heard or anything like that. I just don't really think it's all that special. I'm going to put this in the D row. Bam. Okay, next we have a classic track from everyone's favorite band, Imagine Dragons' Believer! Yeah, this track is really just as melodramatic and overly theatrical and obnoxious as I remembered it being. Between that little acoustic guitar, between the really heavy drums and beats to the over-the-top vocals, this thing is just annoying to listen to. How it excites anybody or gets anyone going or makes them feel, I don't know, emotional or inspired or whatever, I don't know. I mean, I get that it's a big, showy display of volume and, shouting and so on and so forth, but that does not an exciting song make, in my opinion, nor does it make a good song. It's just a really drab cut, despite it trying so hard to sound epic and larger than life and really urgent and essential and profound, actually. It really does try to sound that way, but I think it falls monstrously short. And yeah, going to put this over in the E row. Okay, coming up next over here, we have Sam Hunt from his Southside record, Body Like a Back Road. Yep, it is kind of a weird, gross track comparing a woman's body, also, kind of like the general vibe of a relationship to, like a dirty, dusty, rocky old back road. The song at its core is corny and annoying, and the subtle bits of hip-hop inspired production surrounding it are super tacky and gross, as I said in my review of this record when it came out not too long ago. I mean, it feels like 2017 wasn't that long ago. It's certainly not as long ago as some of the other years that we've done so far. Why am I even saying this? What the fuck am I talking about? This is such a divergence, an obvious one at that. Austin will probably find some way to cut this. But yeah, I don't really know if I have too much to add to this track. Outside of what I've said in my Southside review about it, I just find the metaphors and the similes to be really unflattering and not romantic or sexy at all. I think Sam as a lyricist and as a singer is mid as hell. I just think the song is annoying and corny. And yeah, I just think, the hip hop country fusion going on here is not all that well executed. So there you go. Those are my thoughts. Okay, next on Billboard's list at number 6, we have Migos, Bad and Boujee. First off the top, R.I.P. Takeoff. obviously. This track, in my opinion, has aged like fine fucking wine. What a cold-blooded trap track. Loved it and, enjoyed Culture, the original Culture, quite a bit when it dropped. And yeah, I think this track just sounds better over the years. What a cold-blooded trap song with great verses from everyone, really catchy standout lines, good laid-back beat. It's just kind of good from front to end. Uzi on the finish of the track isn't, my favorite or anything like that. There are moments when I wish that Takeoff were in the mix instead, but still, it's still a good track. Feeling like I could throw this in the B row confidently. It's a very good one. It's a very good, enjoyable one. Fucking with Bad and Boujee still, as you should. All right, next on the list, of course, we have some more Chainsmokers, the track with Coldplay, Something Just Like This. I actually don't mind this track too much. I think it's just kind of merely okay. It's not as offensive or as, straight up boring as many Chainsmokers songs are. I just think all in all, this track sounds like a very pleasant, mildly catchy, slightly more soulless Coldplay song. That's pretty much what it sounds like. Chainsmokers really do kind of play like a more supportive role on this track and try to ride that typical Coldplay sound and essentially just make a Coldplay single of their own with Coldplay. Just kind of sounds like a freaking slightly more dance-oriented Coldplay song, which at this point in Coldplay's discography, when they are literally doing dance tracks, what does that really say? Track is pleasant, but absolutely positively mid. I would put it in the C row if it were on. No reason to be offended. No cause for alarm, but not exactly waiting for it to come back on or anything like that. All right, next we got a big one. We got a big kahuna on the Billboard list. That would be Kendrick Lamar's Humble. Kendrick Lamar's Humble. What a banger. What a trap banger. One could argue, the best mainstream trap banger of the 2010s. There's probably some video in my back catalog disputing that, but I will say in this video, in my sound body and mind, that maybe I won't go that far. I'll just say this one's great. This one is absolutely great. When we're talking about chart-topping hip-hop, it doesn't get much better than Humble in the 2010s. This is a really sick track still. Very funny, very witty, very animated, very catchy. Kendrick killed it on this one for sure. While it is not my favorite Kendrick single, while it is not coming off my favorite Kendrick album, that's for sure, Humble still stands out as a banger. And if we were to take this and measure up against, so many tracks, so many mainstream tracks that were topping the charts in 2017, more often than not, I'm probably going to be siding with fucking Humble, because it's that out there, it's that fun, it's that zany, it's that catchy, it's that creative, and just kicks ass from front to back. Loving Humble still to this day. Feeling a nice solid A row placement on this one. Humble rules. No shade to Humble. Following this, we have the man Bruno Mars off of his little kind of R&B, 80s pop, and New Jack Swing revival record that he dropped in 2017 with That's What I Like, which I think is one of the sweeter and better and poppier singles on the record. It's really glitzy, it's really glamorous, it's really flashy and fun. Liking it a lot. Still a great track. Some corny bars here and there, and 24 Karat Magic, I think, is kind of my favorite single off the LP. I prefer it much more to this, but still, That's What I Like is a great track. Really awesome bridge and vocal harmonies in that section of the song too. Bruno really kind of killed it on the vocal performance there. But That's What I Like. Really good cut. Really enjoyable cut. I would put this in the B row quite handily. There you go. Following this, we have a song that everyone remembers. We have Despacito. Luis Fonsi and Daddy Yankee. One of the more overproduced Latin pop crossovers of the year, and maybe the most overplayed song of this year. I don't know if there's a more overplayed song than this song. I mean, maybe like Ed Sheeran or something like that, but this was kind of the most played track. It seemed like, at least, like in the moment, you were hearing this song the most often. It was fucking everywhere. I didn't really hate it. Didn't really dislike it. And, listening to it in retrospect, it's not a bad track. Some of these most overplayed tracks do tend to age really, really, really horribly. But Despacito, in my opinion, kind of has the same appeal 5 years ago that it does now. Maybe it's not as novel. Maybe it's not as fresh as it was when it hit in that moment, but, it's still a nice little Latin and pop and reggaeton blend. Vocals aren't too bad either. It's a tad bit overproduced, and it's a little unflattering production-wise as a result of that, but I think Despacito is still an enjoyable track, even though it's not a song I necessarily desperately seek out or anything like that. If it comes on, for sure I get hit with a little nostalgia vibes in a good and positive way. I'm going to put this in the C section. Sorry, being funny there. Some baby delivery humor, I guess. And finally, we are at our last song in the Billboard Top 10 of that year, and it is, of course, the boy Ed Sheeran with "I'm in love with the shape of you, I'm in love with your body." Yeah, Eddie really did it on this one. I don't care for this track. For a song that is so desperately trying to be sexy, it is just not sexy. I just don't really get much sex appeal off of this track. I just don't feel like this song is super sensual. I think it's actually kind of boring and understated. Certainly too much so to be a very sexy track, in my opinion. It's got a nice little groove. That bing, 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 little synth line is cute. But outside of that, there's not really a lot about the song I like all that much. Certainly not anything that I enjoy listening to while it's on. In fact, if Shape of You is on in the room, I'm probably most likely going to have a very light grimace on my face, as, it's not that sexy of a track. In fact, it's slightly gross thinking of Ed Sheeran kind of enacting and just living out the vibes expressed on this song. I'm just not really into it. I'm going to put it in the D row, and there you go. That is our top 10 for 2017 as according to Billboard. We have some nice little groupings at the top over here. Bad and Boujee, awesome. Bruno there. Humble there. The C section, the C row there is not looking too bad. And we have some L's down in the bottom section, but they're kind of evenly spaced out. It's a very balanced year, in my opinion, as far as top 10 singles go. So not too bad. Not too bad at all. Thank you very much for watching. Let me know in the comments what you thought of any of these tracks. Do you fondly remember any of them? Fondly hate any of them? Over here next to my head is another video that you can check out. Hit that up, or the link to subscribe to the channel. Anthony Fantano, 2017, forever.